All right, internet. It's time. We got the popcorn bucket. Red Hulk. Really like it, actually. Time for our Brave New World review. Get ready. Sit down. Buckle up. Let's go. So how did I feel about Brave New World? Well, I got to pull my phone out because I took a lot of notes. So, starting off, we're going to go from the top. We're going to dive into characters, essentially. Isaiah Bradley. Great. Very small role, but still worked. He still worked. He said, I'm never going back in that box, and he ended up going back in that box. Harrison Ford. If I could tell you if my grandfather was to play a character, it would literally be Ross Harrison Ford. Like, that was my grandpa to the T. It's crazy. Like, I called my grandma right after the movie, and I was like, hey, Papa is literally Harrison Ford. And I love that they had his mustache for that minute before they shaved it off. Harrison Ford had a real struggle throughout this whole film, trying to build forgiveness, show his daughter he changed and whatnot. And it actually got me to a kind of tearjerker where I felt that. Like, I was like, bro, like, could you imagine, like, having your kid and, like, your kid, like, pretty much just not answering you, whatever, and eventually building it up, showing her you've changed and all this stuff. And then eventually she comes. That's kind of what Betty did. Betty didn't want to have anything to do with him. And he was so sad. And he, and he was dying and nobody was around. They took out some scenes though, which is crazy. I mean, it is what it is, but and then Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson. Do I owe you an apology? Yes, because you weren't trying to be Steve Rogers, just like it says. You were trying to just be a good Captain America. You were trying to be Sam Wilson, and it really worked for me. I don't know where people saw these one-lining quips. I don't know where people saw these over-excessive amount of jokes. There was a couple jokes and they fell flat, but there was not a lot of jokes. I don't understand. Joaquin Torres was terrible. It just felt like they gave somebody random wings and were like, hey, you're a Falcon. Didn't work for me. Didn't like it. The leader, to the T, that was Baron Zemo. Amazing. Working on the inside, giving Ross, feeding him gamma pills over time, building this up to ruin his reputation after Ross ruined his. And I gotta say, this is one of those few times where the comic book accuracy, once again, like I said with the Thing, I think this looked better than the promo art and what we could have got comic accurate. He was so gross and nasty and hid in the dark with the green glowing eyes. And when we got to look at him, his body all dysmorphed, his ears, his head, like pus and stuff. He looked great. He looked disgusting. He looked like he wanted to kill Ross. Great. Loved it. I mean, Bucky showed up for a minute. Obviously, the T's going into the Thunderbolts. The boat fight with Taimu and all that stuff felt so big and crazy, and I think that's the first time the scale has actually felt that large, which I loved. And the music choices on this was perfect. All the music throughout this entire film was so good, so eerie. When Ross was chasing Sam as the Red Hulk, I felt like I was playing, if you guys remember that PlayStation game as a kid, it was Spider-Man and you were running from Doc Ock Carnage. That literally is what it was like. It was like menacing, scary music as he was running, trying to avoid Ross, and the music was perfect. Ruth, though, was terrible. You can't convince me that a 4'2", 90-pound little girl is a Black Widow. Can't convince me. Can't convince me. She had no purpose, and you could tell they cut a lot of her lines and whatnot and all that kind of stuff. But, anyways, I'll be talking about the deleted scenes in like one of my next videos because, we'll talk about that later. But the Red Hulk fight, it did exactly what I wanted them to do. To prove that Sam couldn't beat Ross, but he would stand up to him and attempt to run away and bob and weave and try to... The way they finished it, where he calmed him down, was the perfect thing. Ross was overpowering him, destroying him, ripped off his wing, was crushing his helmet. He's like, would Betty have wanted this? And it really, like, just the whole bring back to constant emotions of Ross, and it just... perfect. Harrison Ford acted his butt off, and I think this is honestly probably one of his best roles ever. Probably not above Han Solo, but pretty dang close. Like, I felt like I felt like Harrison Ford actually wanted to be in this film. Like, that's the difference. And you don't usually feel that. Usually he's like, it's money, it's a check, which he did in the interviews, but it didn't feel like that. That Pilates scene, though, was stupid, where he's on the Peloton. That was just stupid and didn't need to be in there. That felt stupid. But besides that, it was a quick movie, which I liked. I loved that it was the same pacing as the Marvels, and people hate the Marvels. I liked the Marvels. I think it went from point A to point B without going everywhere else and whatnot. I loved that it was just so on the tee, and it was like a thriller. Like when they got down into the prison and saw the lab, it got the eerie music of them going through the folders and finding Ross's and all this stuff and building up to what are these pills. And it was just a good movie. Like, I'm not going to make this a 20-minute review. I'm just telling you here, this is a good movie. I don't know why the critics are saying it's that bad, because it's really not that bad. It's better than a popcorn film. It's like a popcorn and drink film. It worked for me. It worked. The post-credit, though, stupid. They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have done that. But the leader, I feel like Sam needs to continually poke at the leader more and kind of like, because he said, through probabilities, he saw this, he saw that, and he could tell like different things. Like he could tell you what was going to happen, like how Esposito's character Sidewinder was going to shoot him and beat him and took the phone. He was like, I knew you were going to call. There was a 77% probability that truck didn't blow up and kill you. And the leader just seemed so outrageously smart to when he did give that post-credit scene reveal, you were just like, whoa, like you knew he wasn't lying. Like you knew it was real. That's the crazy part. I liked that they didn't do lollipops. I liked that Ross was just eating little mints. That made more sense. Like, dude, could you imagine him eating a lollipop? Yeah, the probability mentionings was great to me. The sneaking into the base, when they snuck into that base for the prison, it felt very James Bond Mission Impossible-esque, like the 64 games. I don't know. And then the whole Sabra scene where she's like, what the hell are you guys doing here? And it was like a zoom in. That was terrible. Like, that girl could not act. I'm sorry. I don't care what she was in before or what she's not. Dude, she cannot act. She is not a good actress. I'm sorry. Or maybe that role was just written terrible because they cut a lot of scenes. Now, where do we go? Is there connective tissue? No. I mean, yes, to the Thunderbolts, really, with the Bucky thing, but most people won't know that. Adamantium, but like the whole post-credit scene, once again, kind of just, no one's gonna understand that. Like, people are and then they're not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not a follower of like leaks and rumors and whatnot, you're not gonna know. You're just gonna be like, oh, what the heck, there's multiple Earths, what does that mean? So that's my review. I give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a good film. I'm gonna see it again maybe Sunday. As always, let me know what you guys thought. Did you guys enjoy it? Don't follow the crowd. Form your own opinion. Go with emotions and enjoy the film, or don't enjoy the film. The choice is yours. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thanks for stopping by. If you stayed long enough, you get one big red Hulk kissy wissy. Make sure you drop a subscribe and stay tuned for more stuff. If you want to catch me on other things like TikTok, X, or Twitter, whatever you like to call it, Instagram, all socials are exactly the same. The GeekyCast. Have a great rest of your night. I'll see y'all next time.